Backyard Machine Shop. My name is Mike. Got a project going on right now, and I've already just about completed it, and it's just a bunch of boring. So, and it was pretty boring too, let me tell you. And so I shot some video of it, and I was looking at it, kind of reviewing it, and I'm like, well, there's really not a whole lot here worth posting a video on. So what I'm going to do is I'm making this video. What the plan is I'm going to show you some of the setups I had to make, some of the trials that I went through, and some of the headaches. And maybe we can have an open discussion about this on YouTube about how I could have done it different, or you know, maybe what could have been done different and improve how I did this. I've got it right. So there could probably be an easier way of doing it. I already know a couple things that I would do different if I had to do it again. One would have been I would have put more spacers in the actual hub itself, where the bore would have been bored more even on both sides. When I talked to the gentleman about it, he told me that he had this done once before, and they just had put a washer in there for a spacer. Well, when I took this and I measured everything, I measured the closest I could get, and I didn't have a set of a good radius gauges, but that wouldn't have done me any good anyway. Helped would have been to find out how big an axle this had been, and I should have done some more research on it. Well, anyway, when I put it together, I had a few shafts around here, and I kind of just tried to fit them. This bore was not round. It had the keyway in each side, and it just wasn't that round. So I'd come up, the best I could find to fit was like a 2.5 inch. So I went with 2.5 inch. So when I built this, I spaced it 2.5 inches. And come to find out, it should have been like 2 9 or 2 3/4 or something like that. I can't remember. But it's still fine. The hole's dead center in the wheel. The only difference is I bored a little bit more off of one side of the hub, off this piece than the other. So in the end, it's going to be fine. But if I'd known that, I would have done it, you know, different. Another issue I had was the setup. This thing has pushed this mill to the limit. Now, I still probably have 5 or 6 inches I can bring the head out on this Wells Index. This thing's got capacity galore. So I probably could have slid the part down maybe a little more and got some more room in the Y. Right now I got above the waves I got maybe 1.5 inches, and down around the waves I got maybe 3/8. All right, I maybe have 1/4 out on the outside in the Y. So I might have had 1/2 inch in the Y to work with. The X was fine. So what I done was, when I centered this, I had to work with the head and with the table at the same time to get it centered. So that took a little bit of effort. And like I said, I've got 2.5 inches. Well, I turned this blank 2.5 inches diameter, bored a hole in it that was concentric with the outside, put this in there, came in with a coaxial indicator, and found center. When I started boring it, I could tell something was off. So I said, well, let's back up and start over. I come up with this configuration I got right here, and I'll stick some pictures in on it. And basically, it's my Noga holder. It's attached to my Criterion boring bar, and I've set center on the outside on these lugs on these wheel spacers. Well, this thing's cast iron. If there was any machine part on the face of this thing, it's gone now. So, you know, you had to kind of average everything out. It's the same way about setting it straight. You had to kind of just average everything out and say, well, that's as good as it's going to get. So what I come up with was, I have my Noga holder wasn't quite long enough to get my indicator all the way out. So what I ended up doing, and I'll post some pictures of this, is I extended the Noga holder. Here, I'll bring you in. Just hold on one second. What I got here, I don't know if you can see it too well. Might have you too close. I'll bring it over. Anyway, I got a Noga holder, and then I put an old holder into the Noga slot and kind of just extended the Noga. Well, I come around, I set 0 on all of these, you know, and this indexed it in. Well, I got 0 on 4 to 6. There's 2 of them that's off maybe 10 thousandths, and they're off in a way that it can't be. So I'm assuming that the machine, they're machined off, so, or casted off. So took it out, you know, if I figured 4 zeros, 2 not zeros, that was pretty good. So that's what I come up with on holding this. And like I said, I'll throw in some pictures of that and stuff. So okay, so like I said, I indicated around, and that worked real well. I mean, this hole, I've measured it since I bored it. It's dead nuts. So we're good there. So he won't have this wobble in his tire. Next thing was getting it straight. Well, I originally had set it on two parallels in here. Actually, they're just ground V blocks, and I got it sitting on that, and I wasn't so happy because I couldn't adjust. I could shim those, kind of get it where I needed it, but I couldn't adjust in the Y. I couldn't adjust the front and the back. So I got it centered pretty much. You know, it's like I said, it's dead nuts. So I already checked the hole, everything. So we're good there. So one of the other things that I had an issue with was getting this thing on the table and getting it level front to back. So in the Y-axis. Originally I'd set it on these blocks, and I'd come in here and I'd board the keyways out, and got a little video of that, so I'll show you how I did that. Actually, I took one side and I put it on the Kearney Trekker and cut it out on the Kearney Trekker, and then the other side I'd come in and I'd board out with a boring bar, and then I just pretty much used the radius of the boring bar and let it cut the keyway out. Well, everything looked good and went straight, and so when I was setting this thing up for the final boring job, I got to thinking I need a way of supporting it on the outside. So what I come up with is I got a 1/2 inch plate, and I took and drilled and bolted it down to the table. It extends out about, I don't know, 10 inches on each side, 8 inches on each side, and then I come in on the front and the back, and I put some little machinist jacks to help me level this out and kind of give it a firm surface. So we got those 2 situations done, and then we started boring it out. What I've got to come up with now, though, is I got to come up with a way of broaching the keyway. When I broach this keyway, it's going to be 9/16 keyway. The original had a keyway on either side. The John Deere only has a keyway on one side, and it has a rack system on the other side that it locks the wheel in. We're not going to do the rack system. We're just going to put the keyway in it. My press isn't big enough to get this hub in. So I'm probably going to go somewhere and borrow a press to put this in. But we're going to have to build a bushing for it. Have to be, 2 7/8, just like the axle hub is. So I got to find a piece of material. I kind of talked with the guy today, and I told him that I'll buy the broach, if he'll buy the piece of material, or either I'll come up with a piece of material if he'll buy the broach. So, either way, I'll end up with a broach probably out of the deal, and a nice bushing. Doubt I'll ever need a 2 7/8 by 8 inch keyway, 8 inch bush anymore, but they will have it. The next thing we talked about was, the next problem I had was the depth. Well, I was able to get this out in place and it's centered in my mill where I can bore it. The quill's only got 6 inches of travel. So with 6 inches of travel, 8 inches depth, it becomes a problem. So how I'm handling that deal is I cut the top with a shorter boring bar, and then I'm gonna come in and I left the top a little bit shy. 873, 870, something like 2, something like that. And we'll go in and bore the bottom out, and then, you know, if I need to, I can adjust them to blend them in. So I still got the bottom to do. There's probably 2 inches in the bottom that still needs to be bored out. I'll cover some of that on video also. So what I'm getting, if anybody, you know, sees this video and has a similar type job, these are some of the things that you have to go through to set a job up like this. You know, the machining I do at work, you know, we do a lot of CNC. I was a conventional machinist there for 2 years. I've only been in the machine trade for 2 years, by the way. Before that, I worked in the chemical industry, and I've always been mechanically, you know, what you would say, curious. I always like working on everything I have. I work on. So, restorations, that kind of got me going into that, and I've always liked machining. So, I've always been interested, but hey, I started working where I was at 19, and never found the time to get into it. So, a few years ago, I'd gotten into a little accident, and when I decided to go back to work, I decided to go back to be in the machine trade. So, problems out. I see things one way, maybe there's a better way of doing them. Hey, you know, so that's what I'm trying to do in this video is maybe some of you veterans out there, or even some of you guys that are new in the trade that have seen things like this, you know, give a shout out, help us out, because this is what this is about. It's about educating everyone, including me, and including, I mean, I don't know anyone. You know, we all watch Keith Fenner and Keith Rucker and A-Bomb and Tom. We all watch these guys, but they also, I have no doubt, they learn too, you know, from people's comments and other people's videos. So this is what this video is going to be about. I mean, this is probably, you know, like I said, indicating in a 4-jaw chuck. Hey, indicating this bad boy in was every bit a nightmare. So I'm gonna throw this video out there, and let's get some feedback on it, so we can all pick up on this stuff. I've got this job done. It's done right, and I'm very comfortable with it. But I'm gonna tell you, if I had to do this again, I think I'd be looking for an alternative way of doing it. Then again, this may be the only way to do it. Some of the things that we do at work is very intricate, but it's CNC type work. A lot of it's CNC type work. Like I said, I was hired there. I've worked a conventional shop for 2 years, and then I started working in the CNC a little bit, and then I became supervisor over the shop. So I do a lot of figuring out, or helping guys figure things out now, where I wasn't as involved before. I just pretty much figured out what I was doing. And I love to trade. I mean, I go to work every day, work 10 hours a day, and then come home and work in this shop for 3 or 4 hours a day doing the same thing. Weekends, if I'm off, I'm spending it in the shop. So I love it. So I'm like a sponge with this information. So guys, please create feedback, and then maybe shoot some ideas out there. And like I said, I had this plan for this video, and then sitting here watching it bored, and watching the video I had of it, I was like, wow, it's boring. You know, there's no video to make. So I come up with this. I wanted to make a video on it. I wanted to share what I was doing, and really and truly, and you know, if somebody has some ideas on how this could have been done better, I appreciate it. You know, and maybe I showed somebody something that they would have had an issue with. Maybe it'll click in their mind one day, and we can, you know, we can all learn from it. So, I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to cover in this? That's about it. So, again, thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for leaving comments. Thanks to my many new subscribers. Guys, it's nice to hear feedback. I mean, even negative feedback, it's things that you can improve on. And, you know, you take it all to heart and you try to do that. So, you know, appreciate all of it. So I'm going to sign off now. And like I said, I'm going to throw some pictures in the video. I'm going to try to put together a really good video here. And it's probably be a hodgepodge of things. So. Conclude that right here. And when I do the broaching, when I try to broach this keyway and I make the bush, you know, I'll add a video maybe. But right now I'm pretty much finished with this work, so I'm gonna conclude the video right now. Hopefully I didn't leave nothing off that I wanted to say. I mean, I don't script it, I just come out here and run my mouth, and you probably can tell that by the way I get stumble and fumble and get locked up on words. So remember, subscribe, leave feedback, hit the like button. From the Backyard Machine Shop. So long.